for the last part of the story of the Golden Gloves, Beyond the Ring. After winning Golden Gloves, I got interviewed a lot by local reporters, both print and television. Most of my TV appearances, the interviewers really like to lean into those usual tropes about aggressive women, catfights and just being all crazy and that kind of thing. And there is a really insane clip of me from Q13 News where I was saying something like, "Oh, I just really like to fight," where I look like a whole crazy person. Okay, I know that might be out there somewhere floating around on the internet to this day. And that's what they like to do to strong women. They like to make us look as unfeminine and insane so that we won't influence the younger ones, right? That's sort of the point. But my experiences in the boxing world outside of the media interpretation were nothing like that. In addition to all the amateur boxers that I met that decade that I boxed competitively, I also met a lot of pro boxers and tons of coaches and gym owners and then promoters and other people who are just deeply involved in the sport. And what I found was that contrary to popular belief, boxers aren't crazy, violent people outside of the ring. In fact, most of us are pretty calm and collected because we channel our aggression in the ring. And some of the most famous of the pro boxers that I was fortunate enough to meet are some of the coolest people I've ever known. Those are some of the lessons that I took from the ring into the rest of my life. How to roll with the punches, how to stay calm and collected under pressure, how to formulate a game plan, how to pivot when the plan starts to unravel or gets derailed. I learned how to win with humility, but not how to lose with grace, because I never lost a single match during my entire boxing career. The closest I ever came to losing was my final and favorite match of all, which was against another boxer who'd been my teammate on the national team the first year that I made it. She typically fought, I think it was 5 weight classes above me, but by this time in both of our careers, we'd gone pro and decided to meet in the middle. So I gained weight and went up 2 weight classes, and she dropped weight and went down, I guess, 5 or 3, maybe. I'm not sure. But in any case, I felt slow and fat, and she's told me she felt slow and weak. But because it was a pro match, we went all 8 rounds and it ended unanimously in a draw. So we both got to split the purse, which was awesome. Best possible outcome. The people who came to see the match had told us that it was the best women's boxing match that they had seen by far. And we both laughed because we both thought that we kind of sucked. But yeah, they weren't used to seeing women box with skill without it being like just a slugfest or being sloppy and messy. And, even though as boxers we both knew that we agreed that we were in there to do what we were supposed to do there in the ring, we were really good friends and we cared about each other's professional reputation. So we fought a good fight. We didn't give it to each other by any shot. Her name was Anne, and she was almost a decade younger than me, but she was much bigger than I was and definitely tougher. She was originally from Brooklyn and normally fought in the same weight division as Layla Ali. Only they never actually matched, despite Anne's strong desire to fight her when she did go pro. Because, yeah, they were in the same weight division, and I strongly suspect it was because Anne probably could have beaten Layla when she was fighting at her usual weight class and appropriately trained at. But the biggest lesson I learned from boxing was my belief in my own personal power, that no matter what situation I find myself in, I can handle myself. I'm strong, I'm resilient. I might get bested on occasion, but ultimately, I can't possibly be beat. When I want to be, I am that unstoppable force that will move that so-called immovable object. There's something particularly powerful when women realize their own strength and give themselves permission to use it. I stopped being afraid of my strength and started to really embrace it. It still cracks me up that the very next sport that I would become active in as an adult after boxing was figure skating. On a surface level, they might seem like very different sports, and in many respects, they are. But I wouldn't be the skater I am today had I not learned the lessons that I learned in the ring, especially the resilience piece. Without my boxer's mindset, the mean girls in the figure skating world, both the child and adult versions, let's be clear, would have completely eroded my confidence. Because figure skating was the first sport that I participated in that didn't come naturally to me, that I experienced more failure and injury in relative to any of the many other sports I played across my lifetime. But for me, that's part of the point of competitive athletics. They teach you life lessons. And figure skating, which I still compete in to this day, continues to teach me not to give up when things get really, really hard. And without that resilience that I learned as a boxer, I would have never become who I became in any other arena outside of the ring.